are live. You are welcome to this um live session, healing conversation with Patricia Abokede. You are super welcome you all to today's um live broadcast, and I'm excited to be here with you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So we're going to be starting in a moment. You are super welcome. I want to celebrate you for joining me today. So you're super welcome. Our discussion today is going to be on signs you are healing from emotional abuse. And it's a conversation everybody needs to be part of. It's a conversation that can liberate you, can make you understand why you are acting the way you are acting, what is going on in your life as an individual, as a family, as a parent. Um, you need this conversation. You need this conversation. So I want to welcome you to today's YouTube live. I want to specially welcome you for joining me today. You're welcome. I'm super excited to be on this conversation with you. And I want you to ensure you stay to the end because you're going to get value for your time. All right, so we are starting right away. Um, my name is Patricia Abokede. I am a developmental psychologist, a family life educator, a trauma informed parenting educator, and a child protection advocate. So, majorly, my work is around helping parents to understand parenting, to parent their children, without inflicting trauma, and especially to break cycles of abuse. Because sometimes, when as parents, if we don't heal, the chances are that we can transfer trauma to our children. So it's very important for us to understand ourselves. So I help individuals and families understand how childhood experiences affect emotional well-being, relationship, parenting, and how we can begin to build healthy lives. So it's important for us as individuals, especially parents, to understand that we have a major role to play in raising children. And this is very important because if we don't heal as individuals, the chances that we are going to be transferring aggression and trauma to our children. Some of us, of course, the major place where we learn parenting is from our parents. And sometimes, and most of the time, our parents didn't do it so well. So our goal is to help us, to educate us on how to heal, to overcome our childhood experiences, and also to help our children to get the kind of parenting we didn't get. Yes, we are live here. Like I said earlier, we are discussing an important topic, which is signs you are still healing from emotional abuse. A lot of children, I must tell you, there's rarely any child that didn't really go through emotional abuse. Well, let me just say a huge number of children went through emotional abuse. And sometimes if you did not you the that experience abuse in childhood, or it can affect our relationship as adults. So many adults have experienced emotional abuse in childhood that affects them as um in their relationship with their spouse or as parents, but they may not recognize how deeply those experiences continue to influence their life. That is why we are having this conversation, so that you can know that whatever you are going through now, in fact, many marriages has failed because of childhood trauma. What your spouse was doing to you or is doing to you could be as a result of the abuse or trauma that person experienced in childhood that the person did not heal. What you are also going through now may also be as a result of some of the abuse or trauma you experienced as a child that you did not heal. All right. So I want us to stay with me on this conversation. So you might be finding out, okay, find yourself wondering, these questions. For example, why do I react so strongly in certain ways? Sometimes some things happen that you shouldn't even overreact. You overreact. You sometimes some of us struggle with confidence, even as an you know we are trying to we limit ourselves because of our lack of confidence. Sometimes it could be, why do I sometimes feel emotionally overwhelmed? Some of us cannot even withhold our emotions. We are always on the edge, like a fuel that you put petrol on. I mean, a fuel you put a matchstick or something on. So, for many people, the answer may be connected to unresolved emotional wound that happened in childhood, and that is why we're having this conversation. So, today we'll be talking about some of the signs that emotional abuse may still be affecting you in your parenting, in your relationship, and how you can begin to heal. That's what we are going to be talking about. How has emotional abuse affected you? We're also going to look at what does emotional abuse look like. Some of us are going to remember a particular incident in your childhood that happened. You may also notice that probably you're also repeating that pattern with your children, and you need to take caution. So, but before I continue, I want to acquaint myself with you. I want to know where you are connecting from. So if you can hear me, let me be sure. This will also help me to know my mic is working well. So if you can hear me clearly, so go to the chat session and type where you are connecting from. Let me know where you're connecting from. I really appreciate you for joining me. And some of us actually joined very early. That's fantastic. So I am connecting with you from Nigeria, Ibadan precisely. And for those that are just joining, my name is Patricia Abokede. I'm a trauma informed parenting coach, a child protection advocate, and I'm a developmental psychologist. All right. And I'll be on this conversation with you. So I would like to know exactly where you're connecting from. So let me know, put it on the chat session. So let's continue by understanding what emotional abuse. What is emotional abuse? Now, emotional abuse is a pattern of behavior where someone uses words, manipulation, criticism, humiliation, or neglect to control or hurt somebody emotionally. So when somebody, most time knowingly, hurts you by humiliating you, by criticizing you, by manipulating your feelings or using words. Have had women who say their husband uses very terrible words on them, or humiliation or neglect. All of this causes emotional abuse. All right. And a lot of parents unconsciously uses this to, sometimes they feel they are trying to motivate their children, sometimes they feel they are trying to challenge them, and these things causes emotional abuse. Let me give you an example, or let me give you some example of what emotional abuse, what can lead to emotional abuse. For example, constant criticism. um some people have a style or a way of constantly criticizing somebody when you do something, instead of them to look at the positive side of that behavior, or it could have been better, or you know just trying to look for a way to make you feel what you did is not important. Sometimes it could be name calling, like we tell parents every child deserves a name. So when you give a child a name that is not that child's name, calling the child some nasty names I wouldn't want to mention because of the sensitivity of what we are doing, you know, you're actually emotionally damaging that child. For example, what is very common in my parts of the world, in Nigeria, for example, the Yoruba culture, sometimes they call a child Lodo, or you call the other child Agbaya. Those words may sound like you are just trying to tease a child, but they actually causes a lot of emotional trauma. and we need to pay attention. Sometimes it could be being told you are not enough, like I said, calling the child agbaya, you know, an older child that you feel the child should just know how to behave all the time. You didn't know what the child should do, or something just happened between the younger child and older child, and you call that child a name. And some people are consistently calling those names. In fact, some parents even call their children names like, ah, I'm careful because of names like calling the child bastard. In the Omoale. I'm saying for those who don't understand Yoruba, Omoale means bastard. Some people use this word to their children on their children consistently all the time. And this is very, very, very dangerous. Because of it being ignored emotionally. A child is asking for something or looking for your attention, and you just dismiss that child. Manipulating or guilt tripping, being blamed for everything. Now we do it a lot for the older children. I'm not saying I'm 100% perfect. I'm also learning in this conversation. Sometimes you have two children, the older one and the younger one, and we blame the older one for what the younger one even did because we assume the older one should know better. All this can cause emotional abuse, or they lead to emotional abuse that can cause childhood trauma. So emotional abuse can come from parents. In fact, it's a lot of parents abuse their children emotionally. It can be from caregivers. People take care of our children in schools. You know, the school also have a standard. They want our children to behave. So when that child is not behaving that way, automatically abuse those children emotionally. Some school even have a way of name shaming a child. So a child that is still at the potty training class, toddler class, yes, or preschool class, that is bed, that is still wetting himself. And then they sing songs like "We Will for Body, How Are You Shame." This is it may look so insignificant, but it's very, very toxic for the child. And okay, I want to know. I've also been thinking, how do you correlate a child not knowing a particular subject? Maybe an exam or a test was given and the child did not get 10/10, and then the child is beaten. So why are teachers there? Teachers are there to teach children what they don't know. So if a child, for example, did a test or an exam and you didn't get 100%, then they shouldn't be beaten. Beating shouldn't be the way to correct that child. The best thing to do is to get the child and explain that subject to the child again. So things like this causes emotional abuse. The child doesn't know it in the first place, and then you are now beating the child all the same. Partners, husband and wife, or intimate relationships, also cause it can emotionally abuse their partners. Teachers, I've said about teachers already. Authority figures, especially in workplaces, abuse. And I want to say here, even if it's a boss and a employees relationship, values are being paid. I mean, people are paid for the value they give your company. So abusing them or talking them down, or is emotional abuse. Now, one of the reasons emotional abuse is difficult is because it is not recognized. Sorry, one of the reasons it's difficult to recognize is because it does not leave physical scar. So if somebody, for example, is being named, is spoken down on, bad-mouthed, name calling, criticism, and all of these things, and somebody else who was beaten with flog or whatever, and that person has mark on the body to show that, oh, see where I was beaten. You can't see that for emotional abuse. You can't see that for emotional abuse. So the abuse happens inside, in the mind of that person, that cannot be seen physically. So it's often overlooked. It's often overlooked. But the problem is that emotional abuse can last for years. So if you beat a child now and the child has scars on the body, the scars will heal, but the emotional scar will not heal the way the physical scar will heal. So emotional abuse is an abuse that should not be overlooked, should be taken seriously, because people live with the abuse for years and years and years. In fact, recently I met an old woman who was crying for an abuse she's experienced more than 40 years ago. And it was still as fresh as the day the abuse happened. Her husband used to call her names, just talk her down, insult her, make her feel unimportant. After 40 years, the man has even died. She still was feeling sorry, she still feels the pain. The man is gone. She still feels the pain as if it was as fresh as when the pain was. So emotional abuse lasts and live with people, except the person intentionally, work their healing, and which is why we're having this conversation. So let's look at what emotional abuse look like. Emotional abuse can be difficult, like I said, can be difficult to recognize because it often happens through words, attitude, and behaviors other than physical harm. However, its effects can be deep and long lasting. All right, so let's look at common ways emotional abuse may look in everyday life. So, how do we unintentionally, you know, okay? So, imagine children growing up in an environment where there's constant criticism, the spouse are always criticizing each other, name calling each other. And constant criticism is constantly pointing out your mistakes while ignoring your effort can damage self-esteem and and confidence. Another way emotional abuse happen on a everyday life is humiliation or public embarrassment. I remember when I was a child, there are some parents that they, I don't know, maybe they are trying to feel big or feel good. If somebody comes to report a child, instead of you to listen to your child and hear your child out, you start, you just get the cane and start beating the child and start, you know, excuse me, and start calling to the child different names without even finding out what actually happened. And also, many homes has been destroyed because of hearsay. Somebody just come and say something and you just believe it and start humiliating your spouse. Other abusers mock or embarrass you in front of others. This also happen a lot in workplaces. You see a senior colleague trying to speak down to the junior colleagues in front of other colleagues or even in front of people that are not even part of the workforce. So some the example it could also be making jokes about what what making jokes about you that makes other people laugh. Or some people like this sarcasm, you know, belittling your intelligence or ability in public, sharing personal information to shame that person. All of this, are example of a daily everyday emotional abuse. Another one is gaslighting. That is making you to doubt yourself. This happens also in everyday life. So gaslighting is when somebody manipulates you into questioning your own memory. Something happened, and then the person is trying to make you feel it's not right. It has happened to me before. You know, I have a conversation with my boss, and by the time we had to, you know, revisit that conversation, then I was not the way she was saying it, like she was the one that was right. She turned the whole thing against me, and I was now looking like, then start asking myself, that what did I say that time? Was it not this? It happens. People do it a lot. Then you begin to ask yourself, didn't I say this way? Was it me that said it or the other person that said it? Gaslighting. You begin to question your memory, begin to question your perception, begin to question your sanity. I've seen women who say, they experience gaslighting a lot in the hands of their husband. Women to do it to their spouse. Example of things like this are that they could say that never happened. You never said that. Or saying that saying that they're the one that said what you said, if what you said was right and they said the wrong thing. And then when you put the thing on the you put the matter on the table, then they are now the one claiming to accept what is right, which was not true. All right. Some people say you are too sensitive, you are overreacting, you are imagining things. This can make the victim feel confused, unsure of their own reality. And some people can actually begin to feel like, it's something wrong with my mind, it's something wrong with me. This is gaslighting. Another way emotional abuse happen in everyday life is silent treatment. Hmm. Couples do this a lot. Something happened between you and your spouse, and you just keep quiet. You don't want to talk to your spouse again. You don't want to mention it again. You prefer to avoid, not even, the person intentionally ignores you to push control or to push, to punish or to control you. Example is refusing to talk to you for days. Some people, they keep malice with their spouse for days, ignoring messages or questions deliberately, withdrawing affection to manipulate behavior. Now, I read sometimes in one of late Pastor Bimbo Bukoya's book, Marriage. That's the topic of that book is marriage, real people, real life, or something, real experiences. She shared how a couple, had issues and refused to solve this problem. They were doing silent treatment for each other. And the issue became so tough that they started writing to each other. They will write, wake me up by 7 a.m. I have an important meeting to attend. The other person, when it's 7 a.m., say, it's 7 a.m., wake up. And the person will not go and wake up. And this continued until their child was very sick, very, very sick. And the woman wrote to the husband, our daughter is sick. We need to take her to the hospital. The man did not read it. She wrote it several times. And I think he maybe is more financially capable, or he has, I don't know, something. The man needed to say yes to taking the child to the hospital. He kept writing the man, and the man never saw the message until the child was so sick that the child was, by the time they eventually, they were the one made up their mind to take the child to the hospital, it was already too late. They lost that child. Silent treatment. Couples do this a lot. You are hurting your partner for what has happened to you in your childhood. Ignoring message, withdrawing from affection or to manipulate behaviors. Couples do it a lot. Couples do it a lot. And this could be because you experienced this when you were a child and you have not overcome it. But that was the way you get your punishment. Some parents, when a child misbehaves, tell them to call the child and caution the child or correct the child. They rather do silent treatment for that child. That child will grow up believing the best way to punish somebody is to do silent treatment. And then when the person gets married or or become a parent, the person begins to repeat that behavior, which is very, very toxic. Another way emotional abuse show up in everyday life is manipulation or guilt tripping. So how does this look like? The abuser uses guilt to control decisions. Example include, after everything I have done for you, this is how you're going. There's a okay, welcome Rita. You're welcome. Thank you for that message. I hope you can hear me. I believe you can hear me. So let us know where you're connecting from. So um there was a lady I met recently. She's a copper, and she said she doesn't want to go back home. Why? Because her parents are always guilt tripping parents, and they of course adopted her. And every time they will tell her, is this how you're going to pay us back? This is how you're going to pay us back. And they don't even want to know what she's going through, how she's feeling, and all of that. Now, people come into our life for different reasons. People could come into our life just for us to protect them for a period of time, or to even step in as parents or help somebody. The fact that you have God have used you to help someone does not mean you must take it back by guilt, tripping the person. Some people will say, if you love me, you will do this for me. And a lot of people enter or stay in toxic relationship because they are trying to prove a point. And this make you feel responsible for their own emotion. So then to to take charge of to just let things go, they put you in a guilt. You start feeling like, oh, how else can I help this person? How else can I prove my love? And then they suppress the person. Is called guilt tripping. Now, another way emotional abuse shows in daily life is controlling behavior. So what is controlling behavior? The person tries to control your choices or your independence. Example includes controlling who you can talk to, you can spend time with. I've met a woman who said her husband doesn't want her to talk to anybody without permission. If she makes a call, as soon as she get if she wants peace in that home, she has to delete all the conversations she had that day. Otherwise, by the time she gets home, the husband would pick her phone and call everybody that she has spoken to and begin to insult them. That's controlling behavior. She can't you Some people cannot make friends on Facebook. It's going to lead to a problem. Monitoring your phone, I just mentioned that monitoring your phone and movement. You can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do that. Deciding what you should wear, what you should say, or what you should do. Now, in case you are seeing all of these things that I'm mentioning that happen on a daily life basis, maybe your spouse is doing that to you, or you are the one doing that. It's as a result of your childhood trauma, emotional abuse you have experienced. Probably you were treated this way and you felt it was just the perfect way of treating people and you're repeating patterns. And that is why we're having this conversation, because you need to understand what abuse looks like, what trauma looks like, so that in case you find your shoe in any of the things I'm discussing, then you need to heal. Your spouse needs to heal. You need to protect your children. If you have gone through this before and you see that you are repeating that pattern, you need to break that cycle of abuse because it was handed over to you and indirectly you are handing over to your children. Excuse me. All right, let's continue. Now, another way emotional abuse shows in daily life is dismissing your feeling. Now, your emotions are constantly invalidated. There's this culture that happens in the Yoruba part of Nigeria. Imagine me saying, I'm very hungry. And I'm telling my friend, I'm very, very hungry. I say, you're hungry. You're not as hungry as me. It sounds so simple, but it's, it's very, very funny. Or it could be, it could be traumatizing. Although it's a habit, but imagine that happening constantly at home, where you try to express your emotion and is overlooked, is not validated. Somebody saying like you're overreacting, you overreact too much. You have to take things too personal. So that I say, okay, if something that's why would I take it personal? Or somebody says, stop being dramatic. You overreact too much. Your feeling doesn't matter. Abba, you are not the only one in this matter. Somebody is feeling hot and you say it doesn't matter. No, everybody's feeling is valid. Everybody's feeling is valid. Okay, thank you, Rita. Rita is joining us from Ibadan. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. I believe you are getting value. So this make people stop expressing themselves emotionally. So imagine every time you want to express yourself, it is played down. It is it's not validated. It's the person over time will just be like, if I say something now, it will not be appreciated, and the person box that pain and it's causing more trauma. Now, another way emotional abuse shows in daily life is blaming you for everything. Hmm. There are some people that when you're in a relationship with them, whatever happens, the abuser never accept their responsibility. You are always the one at fault. Always you. They don't agree that they are involved. So when most times when there's a conflict, the best way to to start off the process of resolving conflict is looking inward first. It's not possible that every time something happens, it's always the other person that is wrong. Look inward. In what way have I contributed to this conflict? What did I do wrong? It's not always you are the one that did it wrong. It's you. So every problem becomes that person's fault. They twist the situation against you so that it appears that you are the problem. It's never them. This is emotional abuse. The next one is threat or intimidation. The person uses threat to create fear. Example is threatening you to leave. Maybe the person is the one that bought the house or the owner of the house or the one that rented the house, and then they keep telling you, I will send you out of this house. If you didn't do this, I'll send you out of this house. Threats, or trying to blackmail somebody, threatening to harm themselves or to control you in order to control. Some people want to harm themselves. They are threatening to harm themselves or to harm you in order to control your own emotion or to control you. Threatening to expose your secrets. That's another way people, use threat. They maybe they have a secret, something you told them sometimes ago live. Another one is withholding love and affection. So love and kindness are given only when you behave the way they want. Only when is when they show you love. This creates emotional dependency and fear of rejection. So when somebody shows you love, only when you do something that they feel that pleases them on their own terms, that's the only time they show love. It's also a way of emotional abuse. So let's look at the most important sides here. Emotional abuse is not always loud or obvious. Like I said, if it was a physical abuse, it will show on the body. But emotional abuse happen inside, so you don't see it, and that is why it is often misunderstood. It is subtle, repeated patterns that slowly damage a person's confidence, identity, and emotional well-being. Over time, victims may develop low self-esteem, anxiety, fear of expressing themselves, difficulty trusting other people. And why is emotional abuse often overlooked? Many people do not realize they experience emotional abuse because they were told it is normal. So imagine a woman that is going through emotional abuse in her home, and then they tell her, an adage they use in Yoruba Nigeria culture. So I grew up in Yoruba culture, and I'm not trying to play down on any culture. Please, that's what I'm used to. I'm not trying to play down on any culture. But they use this language and say ile oko ile eko ni. Saying that, oh, when you go to your husband's house, you are going to learn, and they tell you, okay, this happens a lot. This happens a lot. Every woman go through it. Everybody goes through it. So you also have to endure. Make it look normal. Make abuse look normal. It's a very, very dangerous thing. Abuse is abuse. Abuse is not normal. Another way people also dismiss emotional abuse that it was common in their environment. So imagine when we started earlier, and I said some people call call their children negative names. You know, if you keep calling the child a name all the time, okay, like somebody told me, um, she perceived her son to be stubborn, and she's always telling the boy, You are too stubborn. You are too stubborn. Now, and I asked her, when you gave birth to this child, does it have a name? She said no. So how did the child have a name? It was named Abi. Okay. And then after naming him, you started calling him that name, and he got used to that name. And anytime you call that particular name, he knows he is the one you are calling. That is how we all identify our name. Nobody came to this world with a particular name, except maybe your parents named you while you were still in the womb, but they still named you. And then they keep calling that name. And anytime they want to call that name, they face you and call you that name. That is how you identified your name. The same way, if you are calling a boy, I mean a child, a particular negative name, say using words like you are stubborn, you are too stubborn, you are too stubborn, you are too disobedient, you are too this, you keep calling that name. Over time, that child recognizes that name and begin to behave the way you have been consistently calling that name. So name calling is a powerful thing that is used to control people. So imagine a person that they keep calling a bad name in relationship or in marriage. Over time, the person begins to feel that okay, maybe I'm actually this thing. Maybe it's actually true that this is how I behave. And you're just trying to control your emotion. Another thing is that it was mixed with love. So emotional abuse sometimes is mixed with love. With somebody that called you a bad name and is also telling you I love you. I'm doing this because I love you. Someone that is controlling your movement, controlling your phone, controlling how you behave, and they say I'm doing this because I love you. People minimize their feelings. All of these things, that is why emotional abuse, when people are emotionally traumatized or abused, they just absorb it and feel like it's a normal thing and it's hard to it. Some people even say things like others had it worse than me. Try to normalize their abuse. But emotional pain should never be dismissed. Recognizing what happened is not about blaming anyone. It is about understanding ourselves. So why we're having this conversation is for you to understand. I'm not here to make you start blaming your parents. Like I established this last week. If you didn't watch last week video, scroll and watch how childhood abuse affects us in adulthood. All right. I mentioned that we're not here to blame our parents or to get us angry. We are here to make us understand why we are why we are at this level in our life, what is going on in our life. Probably you went through an emotional abuse as a child, or you went through a childhood abuse, or you were traumatized as a child, which has affected you as an adult. And this has affected you. This is affecting your relationship. It's affecting your marriage. It's affecting your parenting. It's affecting how you relate to people. Some people cannot keep relationship because of their childhood trauma. I'm not even talking about romantic relationship now. I'm talking just platonic relationship because of their childhood experience. And that is what happens for you. So you cannot that okay. This could be happening because of what happened to me as a child. Then take a step to heal. So it's about understanding ourselves better and taking a step to heal. So signs that you are still healing from emotional abuse. So what are the signs if of course all of this that I've been saying affects you in one way or the other? What are the signs you need to pay attention to now? Um, so as we go through these signs, I want you to listen to it, with compassion for yourself. All right, not to blame anybody, not to get angry, but for your own healing. Now, number one is that you are struggling with self-worth. So if you are still struggling with self-worth, you have not accepted who you are. You have not, you are still you don't appreciate your real yourself. It could be because you went through emotional abuse. People who experience emotional abuse often hear messages like hard message like you are not good enough, you always get things wrong, you are the problem. They keep they say things to you like that. You don't even know. Imagine a child learning that is learning how to cook, and they keep saying you don't even know how to cook. You're always burning food. You always another another way you can realize that you are still healing from emotional abuse over time, those words become internal, belief. You notice that you are always have constant self. You're always doubting yourself. You want to take an action, but you keep asking yourself, what if I fail? What if I don't do it well? What if you don't fail? What if you and you do it well? Feel like I'm not enough. Feel like you're always making mistakes. You don't appreciate your efforts. Even when people praise you, you may find it difficult to believe them. They're telling you that you've tried. You say, people are just teasing me. Now, the second thing you may also know, the second sign is that you fear rejection or abandonment. When emotional safety was missing in early relationship, the brain may learn to exact expect rejection. Like I shared last in last my last program, the last what we discussed last week, how the brain, you know, form a survival mechanism to save you from the abuse. This can show up as anxiety in relationship. We have seen women who remain in toxic relationship, or even men, anybody, remain in toxic relationship, even when they are not happy, when they are being threatened, overthinking people's reaction. People are nice to you, and you're just like, why are they nice to me? They're just pretending. You don't believe, you don't do anything. Fear of being left behind. You may find yourself asking question, did I do something wrong? You constantly questioning yourself, constantly questioning people's genuine love. People are just genuine. You can't believe it. Have you met anybody like that before? That you are showing genuine love, but they just keep doubting you. And then it makes you that you are trying to show that love even become very uncomfortable. Number three, where you notice sign that you may be going through emotional abuse is you apologize for everything. Ha, I've met people like that too. Even when they are talking, they are apologizing. They are being right, they are apologizing. Many survivors of emotional abuse develop this habit of over apologizing. You may say sorry when you are wrong, but when it is too often, you do something because they're always thinking they are making mistakes. They are always ready to apologize. I'm not saying you should not apologize when you are wrong. Don't quote me wrong. It's good to apologize. In fact, it's a sign of maturity. But this one is a faulty one. One that every time you did nothing wrong, you're apologizing. Someone hurts you, I don't apologizing. You simply express your opinion, you're apologizing. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion, no. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. Just say your opinion. Express your opinion. You are free to express your opinion. But you have expressed your opinion and you are feeling sorry for expressing your opinion. You are feeling sorry for taking a decision. The fourth sign is you find it difficult to set boundaries. Some people find it very difficult to set healthy boundaries. If your emotions were dismissed in the past when you were a child or when you were growing up, you may struggle to protect your own boundaries today. You might say yes when you went to say no. When you see, you don't have to please people all the time. You don't have to always be in everybody's. You can't be in everybody's good book. That's the truth. You cannot be in everybody's good book. So you need to learn to set boundaries. When people are hurting you and you are just absorbing it, no, 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 it's not right. Feel guilty for setting limits. Some people, you even set the boundaries, you are feeling bad again. Own your thoughts, own your words. Some people allow people to treat them in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable. You're not happy with what somebody is doing to you. Um, some people, there are some relatives that because I am younger does not mean I don't deserve respect. And then at a time in life, you should know that at this point, we're no longer children. We're no longer these people, we have moved ahead. Then we should be able to be treated with respect. But when somebody keeps stepping on your toes, keeps breaking your boundaries just because they're older than you, or because they're your subordinate, or because they're your boss, then you need to take charge of your boundaries. So Lisa said, yes, I have someone around who has never experienced genuine love and thought the genuine love shown to her is fake. Yeah, it happens a lot. I've met people like that. You are being sincere with them, you are genuinely loving them, but they don't understand it. They don't understand what love looks like. They don't understand, they just can't comprehend why would you be kind to them? Why would you just be kind to them? They don't it's difficult for them to understand because they never experienced love. So imagine somebody who doesn't understand what true love means. How would they give it when they are grown? So this is why we're having this conversation. So if you're that person that you don't know how to genuinely love people, please you can learn it. You can learn it. And some people misinterpret love for something else. So healthy boundaries may feel unfamiliar because they own to what the boundaries we have set, whether between siblings, between colleagues, between employer to employees, whatever in workplace, in families, in relationship, every boundaries are important. Now the fifth sign that you may be healing from your emotional abuses. You are easily triggered emotionally. Certain situations may cause strong emotional reaction. For example, criticism may feel overwhelming. One of the ways we grow up is people who accept genuine criticism, not criticize, not somebody just deliberately speaking you down. No, but when somebody tells you, "Oh, you did well, but you can improve in this area," genuinely. But some people cannot accept genuine criticism. They're just trying to, you are not criticizing them. You are only critiquing what they are doing. You are letting them to know where they need to improve and they feel offended. Yeah. Conflict may create anxiety. Conflict conflict is a natural thing that happens in human, as long as you have human beings, there's bound to be conflict. But when there's a conflict and then you overreact, you don't want to solve the problem, you absorb it, you just you don't know how to handle it. People learn how to handle conflict, so it's a skill. It's a skill you can learn. So if you're that type of person, when there's a issue between you and your spouse and you just turn it to something else, you go silent mood, you you just overreact, then you may need to learn conflict management. It's important. It's a skill. It's a management skill, it's a leadership skill, it's an interpersonal relationship skill that you need to learn. Sometimes it could be silence from such a way that your brain is trying to protect you from harm. Your brain is just trying to protect you. So if all the things I've been saying so far is because you had emotional abuse and your brain is trying to protect you, that's why you are reacting in those ways. Sixth sign is that you feel responsible for everyone's happiness. You are not Jesus Christ, so you can't be the one to carry everybody's sin on your head. So your people should be responsible for their own joy and happiness. It can't be that it is you that have to be responsible for everybody's problem. Many people who experience emotional abuse become people pleasers. They try to avoid conflicts. They try to keep everyone happy. They try to take responsibility for other people's feelings. But this can become emotionally exhausting. You can't please everybody. You can't be everybody's people, everybody's good book. So you need to understand that. Number seven is you struggle to trust other people. Emotional abuse can damage ability to trust. Trust is a very important skill for relationship building. And trust is also a very fragile, um, it's very fragile because when trust is breached, it's always difficult to build back. But some people naturally don't know how to trust people. They can't just trust anybody. What's in them, they can't. It's not their fault. Probably because growing up, they were not the people that were taking care of them, or the people in their the people scared they were lacked trust. You didn't build trust in them. And like I said in my previous video, so make sure you watch the previous video, how childhood abuse shows up in adulthood or affects you in adulthood. Trust is built from age 0 to 18 months, and then you build on it. So when a child lacks trust at a very tender age, that child finds it difficult to trust anybody. They keep emotional distance. They feel suspicious when people are kind to them. They don't know the difference between being kind and being, fake. This is often a survival strategy because that is how their brain has been able to process that. So the important message is healing is possible. Whatever level you are, if you have seen yourself in everything I've been talking about since morning, I want to assure you that healing is possible. God has helped us that there's what is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. The brain can regenerate itself, the brain can reconstruct itself, even though you have been traumatized and you have built this emotional, you know, built this behaviors I've mentioned. You can still heal. If you recognize yourself in some of these signs, I want to say to you that you can heal. Healing is possible. Awareness is the first step, and that's what you have heard this now. Um, because you are aware, every step towards awareness is a step to healing. You are not broken. Many of these responses develop as survival strategy in difficult environments. Your brain was only trying to protect you. But with awareness, support, and intentional healing, those patterns can be changed. There's nothing like this is how I was created. No. Every one of us was born empty. Our behaviors, our attitude, we learnt them. And because we learnt them, you can also unlearn them. So healing involves self-reflection, emotional education, which we are already doing now, safe conversation, build healthy relationship. Some of us we need to audit our relationship. The people that we are moving around with, they are not helping us. They are feeding us with negative vibes. You want to heal, then you need to audit your relationship. You have good support, you can get it. Okay? So, like I said, healing involves it involves self-reflection, emotional education, self-conversation, support system, and sometimes it could be professional therapy. Now, to help people reflect more deeply about all I have been saying since your emotional, if you went through emotional abuse or you had childhood trauma, I created a 3-minute self assessment. This assessment will help you explore whether childhood experiences may still be influencing your emotion and relationship today. After going through that, completing that assessment, you will receive a score that will help you to understand the emotional pattern and possible next step to take for your healing. So you can find the link in the description of this video. The link is already in the description of this video. Take just 3 minutes to go through that assessment and see where you are on your emotional healing. So I want to appreciate you for joining me on today's session, for being part of this conversation. I believe you got value. So if you got value, I want to hear from you. Many adults are carrying emotional wounds they never had the opportunity to process. But when you increase awareness, we can begin to heal ourselves, build healthy relationships, raise emotional secure children, and break harmful cycles. If this session has helped you, please like this video, share with somebody who will benefit from it, and don't forget to subscribe for more conversation on emotional healing and healthy family life. All right. Remember, every healed adult raises safer children. Every saved child builds a stronger nation. So choose healing, choose character, Shoes will be different. I'm Patricia Abokede. I'll see you next week, same time, 7 p.m. West African time. Join me on YouTube, this particular channel, and we're going to talk about conversation and on healing. And I pray for you that as you take a step to heal, receive your healing in Jesus' name. There's healing is possible, and you will heal as long as you are ready and you are willing, because we need you to heal to raise the next generation that is healthy so that we can save our world. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.